I didn't even want to listen to anything that day. I'd had a long shift, my back hurt, and all I wanted was silence. But the Bluetooth connected automatically when I started the car, and before I could switch to music, the podcast started playing. A man's voice. Calm. Smooth. Familiar in a way that made my stomach flip. Hi, I'm Mark, he said. I'm 38. I've been married for 13 years. And I'm in love with someone who isn't my wife. I froze at a red light. My hand hovered over the screen, ready to switch it off. But something in his voice made me pause. It wasn't just familiar. It was Paul. I know his cadence. The rhythm of his words. The way he takes a breath before saying something that costs him. Even the laugh, quiet, pulled back, a little guilty, that was his. Undeniably. I sat there with my blinker on long after the light turned green. Cars honked. I didn't move. Mark kept talking. About how he and his wife had grown apart. How they functioned like roommates. How he tried to be a good husband, but he met someone who made him feel seen again. I wanted to believe I was wrong. That I was tired. Projecting. But the more I listened, the more it became obvious. He talked about their daughter. How she's the best thing I ever did. How sometimes I look at her and wonder if she knows I'm not the hero she thinks I am. That was our daughter. That was Lila. I pulled into the driveway, heart pounding. The podcast was still playing. She's not younger if that's what you're thinking, he said, and I could practically see him rubbing the back of his neck like he does when he's nervous. She gets me. We talk for hours. And when she touches me, I don't feel like I have to be anyone. I sat in the car long after it ended. No tears. No screaming. Just silence. The kind that feels like standing at the edge of something very high. I walked into the house like nothing had happened. Kissed Lila on the forehead, asked her about her science project, nodded as she talked about her group partner who doesn't do anything but still wants full credit. Paul came in 20 minutes later. He smiled. Said, "Hey babe." Kissed me on the cheek. Started pulling leftovers from the fridge. I stared at him like I was looking through glass. Like he was a memory playing back in real time. You okay? He asked. Long day, I said. That's all. He nodded, eyes on the microwave. Same. I went upstairs. Closed the door. Sat on the edge of the bed. Opened the podcast app. Searched the title again, Confessions Unfiltered. There it was, episode 42, The Man Who Couldn't Tell Her. 37 minutes. Anonymous voice. But not to me. He didn't know I'd heard it. He didn't know I recognized him. He didn't know the fault line had started. But I did. And I wasn't going to say a damn thing. Not yet. I listened to the episode again. Not once. Not twice. 5 times. Every pause. Every inflection. Every time he said my wife with that flat, practiced tone that made it clear he hadn't really seen me in years, not the way he saw her. The more I heard it, the more it became undeniable. It wasn't like finding a smoking gun. It was like realizing the fire had been smoldering in the walls all along. He said things like, she still makes dinner. Still asks about my day. But I think we both know we're just checking boxes. And she doesn't ask where I go anymore. And I've stopped offering. That's how he painted me. As a wife on autopilot. Like I was sleepwalking through our marriage while he silently suffered. I wanted to scream into the speaker, you could have told me. You could have tried. But he didn't. He chose to tell the internet instead. That night, after he fell asleep, after I lay next to him listening to his breathing like it was the ticking of a bomb, I picked up his phone. He's never been secretive about it. No passcode. He always said, what would I hide from you? Apparently plenty. I didn't go digging. Not really. I opened the Notes app, the last place anyone ever thinks to look. There they were. Little fragments. Don't want to be your escape. Want to be your choice. Tuesday. Hotel. Room 211. She wore the green scarf again. I told her it's my weakness. And then. Amy. That's it. Just the name. At the top of one note. Followed by a list. Favorite wine, Pinot Noir. Doesn't eat breakfast. Music, old soul, loves Nina Simone. Always smells like vanilla and cedar. Says I'm easy to talk to. Amy. I ran that name through every contact in my head. Friends. Neighbors. PTA, work people. Family gatherings. Nothing. We didn't know an Amy. Because Amy didn't belong to our life. She belonged to his. I didn't confront him. I didn't even flinch when he leaned in that morning and said, want me to pick up Lila from practice later? Sure, I said, sipping coffee. Thanks. He smiled, kissed my hair, left like it was any other day. I stared at the counter where his phone had been, where the lies lived in plain sight. And I thought, you're not even being careful anymore. Because why would he be? He thought I was asleep. Asleep in our marriage. Asleep in myself. But I was awake now. And I was listening. There's something about realizing your life is a lie that doesn't hit all at once. It's not an explosion. It's a slow rot. You start to see things. Little things. Like how he always used to put his phone screen down but now it's face up. Not because he's being open, but because notifications are muted. Or how late meetings always fall on Tuesdays. The same day from the note in his phone. I started logging things in my head like I was building a case. Tuesday, 6:47 p.m., home late. No food on his clothes. Said he grabbed tacos with Ben. Ben's a vegetarian. Thursday, 9:03 p.m., showered before bed. Took his phone with him into the bathroom. Never used to. Saturday, 2:17 p.m., laughed at a message. When I asked, he said it was a meme from work. Didn't show me. But the real shift? The smile. That quiet, unconscious smile when he looks at his screen. Like someone lives in there. Someone who makes him feel seen. Someone who isn't me. It wasn't even jealousy I felt. It was erasure. He smiled, but never at me. He started humming again, something he hadn't done in years. A little tune under his breath while brushing his teeth. While making coffee. At first I thought, maybe he's just happier. Then I thought, yeah, but not here. I watched it all without flinching. No questions. No confrontations. Just cold, quiet awareness. He didn't notice the way I watched him. Didn't notice when I stopped asking where he'd been. When I stopped reminding him of Lila's dentist appointment. When I stopped suggesting we watch something together. He thought I was pulling away. But really I was stepping back. Getting a full picture. It's funny how someone can lie to your face while doing everything out in the open. Like how he suddenly cared what cologne he wore. Or how he started using the fancy hair product he used to mock. I didn't touch his things. I didn't cry. I just wrote it all down in a journal I kept under the kitchen sink, behind the trash bags. Somewhere stupid and safe. Every date. Every shift in tone. Every I'm heading out for a bit that turned into 4 hours gone. This wasn't paranoia. It was pattern recognition. He thought I was still sleeping. Still comfortable. But I was wide awake. And the version of me he thought he was cheating on? She didn't exist anymore. He said he had a dinner meeting with a client. Nothing exciting, he mumbled, pulling on his gray sport coat. Just this guy from corporate who's in town for a night. We'll grab a bite, go over numbers. I'll be back by 10. Sounds thrilling, I said, folding laundry on the bed. He laughed, didn't look at me. And just like that he was gone. I stood there folding socks I bought, washed, matched, and suddenly they felt like someone else's. Like part of a uniform for a woman I didn't recognize anymore. At 7:12 p.m., I put on jeans, tied my hair back, grabbed my keys, and got in the car. No makeup. No performance. I wasn't going to catch him. I was going to confirm what I already knew. He'd mentioned the restaurant, some trendy new spot downtown. I didn't even need to track his phone. He'd been so casual about it, it almost made me laugh. I parked across the street. Waited. At 7:42, he arrived. Alone. He checked his watch, adjusted his collar, and leaned casually against the brick wall outside the entrance. 3 minutes later, she showed up. Amy. She had long dark hair pulled into a low bun. Cream-colored coat. Black boots. She was pretty in a way that suggested effortlessness, or at least the money to fake it. She hugged him. Not a polite hello. A hold. He pulled back, looked at her like a kid who just found out his favorite toy wasn't lost after all. They didn't kiss. But they didn't need to. She touched his chest when she laughed. He leaned in when she talked. They shared a plate of something. Her hand stayed on his forearm longer than necessary. It wasn't just attraction. It was familiarity. Like this wasn't new. Like this was their routine. I watched from the car, windows up. AC off. He building slowly. No tears. No shock. Just confirmation. At one point, she reached for something, a napkin maybe, and her fingers brushed his. He smiled. Not just with his mouth. With everything. And that smile broke something in me. Not because he loved her. But because I realized I didn't even know what that smile looked like anymore. He'd never smiled like that at dinner with me. Not for years. They sat for over an hour. When they stood up, she adjusted his collar. He let her. They didn't rush. No stolen glances. No guilt. Just two people who clearly believed no one was watching. But I was. I didn't take pictures. Didn't record video. Didn't need evidence. I already had the only thing that mattered. I saw it. With my own eyes. They didn't need to go home together. Didn't need to kiss. Didn't need to sleep in the same bed. Because whatever this was, emotional, physical, or both, it was real. And it wasn't mine. I drove home slowly. Pulled into the driveway like any normal night. Took off my shoes. Made tea. And sat in the dark living room with the mug in my hands. He came in at 10:06. Long dinner, he said. I replied, not looking up. He kissed the top of my head. You good? Yeah, I said. Just tired. He didn't see the way my hand gripped the mug. Didn't hear the shift in my voice. Didn't feel the way the air changed. Because he didn't look closely anymore. And that was his first mistake. After that dinner, something in me settled. Not in a peaceful way. More like a blade sliding into place. I didn't explode. Didn't throw things. Didn't confront him with trembling hands and raised voice like some dramatic scene on TV. Instead, I bought a burner phone. Cheap. Prepaid. Cash. I used it to document everything. Photos of his car when he said he was at the gym but parked outside a wine bar. Recordings of phone calls he made from the backyard when he thought I was inside with Lila. Screenshots of notes and messages synced from his cloud. He hadn't bothered to disconnect old accounts from our shared laptop. Felt like building a case file. Not for a courtroom. For clarity. Because for so long, he painted himself as lost. A man trying to reconnect. A husband who still wants to make it work. But the facts? They told another story. He wasn't lost. He was hiding. Behind long meetings. Behind sighs about stress. Behind half kisses and tired excuses. Amy didn't make him cheat. She gave him permission to stop pretending. The real betrayal wasn't the affair. It was how easily he erased me from his inner life. The way he'd tell her things, personal, intimate things, and come home to me with silence. How he reserved vulnerability for her, and offered me responsibility. That week he told me I looked tired. You okay? He asked over breakfast. You've been quiet. I'm fine, I said. Just thinking a lot. He nodded. Same. Then he kissed me and said, I love you. It landed like static in my ears. I don't know if he believed it when he said it. Maybe he loved the version of me that didn't know. The version who made dinner and asked about deadlines and thought a little distance was just part of marriage. But that woman was gone. I kept tracking. Every Tuesday dinner. Every muted notification. Every slip of a name in a voicemail. It didn't make me feel stronger. Or smarter. Just prepared. There's a strange dignity in knowing the truth before it's spoken. He still thought he was ahead. Still thought I was the background character in his self-discovery drama. But I wasn't waiting for him to change. I was waiting for the right moment to leave. And when I did, it wouldn't be with tears. It would be with receipts. It was a Thursday night. Nothing special. I made pasta. He opened a bottle of wine. The cheap kind he buys when he's feeling guilty but doesn't want to admit it. We ate in near silence. Lila was at a sleepover, which meant no distractions. Just the two of us and the hum of everything we weren't saying. He talked about work. I nodded. I asked about his sister. He shrugged. Then I said it. Do you think we're honest with each other? He blinked. What do you mean? I mean, do you think we still tell each other the truth? He tilted his head, chewing slower. I think we try. Relationships go through phases, you know? People change. But we're still here. Are we? He laughed a little too quickly. Is this one of those deep questions over wine things? No, I said. It's just a question. He looked at me, or rather looked past me, then said, I think we're doing our best. I let the words hang there. Then I reached for my phone. The old one. The burner. Opened the podcast app. Scrolled to episode 42. Pressed play. His voice filled the room. Hi, I'm Mark. I'm 38. I've been married for 13 years. And I'm in love with someone who isn't my wife. Paul froze. Didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Just sat there like someone who'd been shot but hadn't realized it yet. The voice continued. She's not younger, if that's what you're thinking. She just gets me. We talk for hours. And when she touches me, I don't feel like I have to be anyone. I watched him. Not the speaker on the table. Him. The man across from me who used to kiss me in grocery store aisles. Who helped me through my mother's surgery. Who once said he'd never hurt me because hurting you would be like cutting off my own hand. That man. And you know what's strange? He didn't deny it. Didn't even try. No, that's not me. No, you're overreacting. No, let me explain. Just silence. Then a slow, measured breath. His mouth opened, then closed again. I hit pause. You recorded it? He asked finally. I didn't have to. It was public. Another pause. You listened to the whole thing? Every word. He looked down at his hands. I didn't think you'd ever find it. That was the moment. Not the dinner. Not the notes. Not Amy. That sentence. I didn't think you'd ever find it. He wasn't sorry he said it. He was sorry I heard it. And that was all I needed to know. I got up. Put my plate in the sink. Rinsed it off. He stayed seated, eyes fixed on the empty chair. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just said, it's done now. And walked upstairs. Because sometimes the loudest ending is the one you don't say out loud. I didn't leave that night. I waited. Because I didn't want my exit to feel like a reaction. I wanted it to be a decision. So I stayed 2 more weeks. Cooked. Slept beside him. Folded his shirts. Kissed our daughter goodnight like nothing had changed. But I was already gone. Each day, I moved a little further inside myself. I transferred money to a new account. Called an agent about a small 2-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. Nothing fancy. Just mine. Opened a post office box. Switched my deliveries. Slowly. Like undoing a knot in my chest. He never noticed. He thought the quiet meant I'd accepted it. That I'd absorbed the truth like a sponge and settled back into place. But I wasn't absorbing. I was preparing. I didn't pack boxes while he was home. I didn't make calls in the bedroom. I did everything when he was at work, when Lila was at school. Bit by bit, my life shrank to fit inside a suitcase and a backpack. One Thursday morning, 2 weeks to the day after the dinner, I wrote the letter. Printed, not handwritten. Clear. Simple. No emotion. No poetry. Just this. Paul. I know. I've known for a while. I'm not angry anymore. Just done. Please don't contact me unless it's about Lila. This isn't a punishment. It's a boundary. Take care of yourself. Jay. I left it on the kitchen table. I took my bag. Grabbed Lila's favorite stuffed animal from her room. Left the rest. And walked out. No slammed doors. No goodbyes. Just the front door clicking shut behind me like punctuation. I moved into the apartment that afternoon. The windows rattled. The fridge hummed. The water pressure was laughable. But it was mine. The silence didn't scare me. It felt earned. I set up a mattress on the floor. Bought a coffee maker. Hung 2 photos on the wall, one of me and Lila at the beach, and one of just me, alone, from a trip years ago before Paul. That night, I slept like I hadn't in years. Not because everything was okay. But because for the first time, I wasn't waiting for someone to be honest. I was being honest with myself. And that was enough. The text started the next day. Where are you? You can't just leave like this. Please talk to me. I turned off notifications. He called twice. Left the voicemail that started calm, I just want to understand, and ended with, you're being unfair. Classic. By day 3, the messages turned frantic. I made a mistake, okay? You're blowing this out of proportion. We have a child together. You owe me a conversation. That word. Oh. As if I'd racked up some emotional debt by having the audacity to walk away. As if my silence was an act of aggression, not self-preservation. I didn't respond. Not because I wanted to punish him, but because I was done giving him space in my mind. He didn't get to narrate the ending. I'd already written it. Some friends reached out. Heard through the grapevine. Wanted to know if it was true. Are you really separated? Is it about someone else? I didn't answer most of them. Not because I was ashamed, but because they didn't need the details to understand the decision. I wasn't collecting sympathy. I was collecting peace. Lila adjusted slowly. I told her we were living in a new place for a while, just as girls. She asked if Daddy was mad. No, I said. Just confused. She nodded like that made perfect sense. Kids are better at emotional geometry than adults. They know how to make peace with strange shapes. Paul kept texting. Let's go to therapy. Let's try again. For real this time. I miss you. I miss us. But he didn't miss me. He missed the version of me that accepted half-truths and called it love. The woman who made excuses for his coldness. Who folded his shirts and scheduled his dentist appointments and never asked too many questions when he got home late. That woman was gone. The one who replaced her? She didn't perform loyalty to someone who weaponized confusion. She didn't need closure. Because sometimes the closure is in the leaving. His last message came 2 weeks later. If this is really it then. I'm sorry. I wish you would have just said something. And I almost laughed. Because I had. I'd said it with every quiet moment he ignored. Every truth he avoided. Every time I looked him in the eye and he chose to look away. He just hadn't listened. Now, he could listen to his own echo. I blocked the number. Deleted the voicemails. And kept walking forward. Because not answering him wasn't cruel. It was the most loving thing I'd ever done for myself. The apartment smelled like coffee and clean paper. Like space. There were mornings when I'd wake up and forget where I was for a second. Then I'd see the single shelf of books, the half-unpacked box of photos, the chipped blue mug on the counter, and remember. I wasn't lost. I was free. I started writing again. Not novels. Not even journal entries. Just sentences. Random, small things. Rain on metal sounds like forgiveness. People say I didn't mean to, like that erases the impact. Love shouldn't feel like tiptoeing through a locked room. I didn't write them for anyone. I didn't want likes or comments. I just needed to hear my own voice again after years of filtering it through someone else's expectations. Lila settled into our new rhythm too. Her laugh came back louder. She danced in the kitchen again. Sometimes she'd say, "This place feels like a secret clubhouse." I'd smile and say exactly. We made pancakes at midnight. We sang off-key in the car. We got used to our new version of home. And one afternoon at the park, I met someone. It wasn't romantic. He was walking his dog. I was reading on a bench. Lila ran past us chasing bubbles. He said, "She's got a good throw." I said, "She practices on my face." We laughed. He sat on the next bench. Talked about books. Asked nothing personal. Didn't flirt. Just talked. We saw each other a few times after that. Coffee. Walks. Once we wandered through a used bookstore in silence for almost an hour. It felt good. Not exciting. Not breathless. Real. I didn't look at him and wonder if he'd lie. I didn't wait for him to become someone else. And I didn't expect him to save me from anything. Because I wasn't broken. Just rebuilding. And this version of me, the quiet, steady one who didn't need to explain herself to be understood, she deserves something real. Whether that meant someone new or just herself. Either way, she was finally choosing. And that made all the difference. His messages still came here and there. Once a week. Sometimes late at night. Sometimes during lunch hour, like he was trying to squeeze guilt between meetings. I still think about us. I wish I could take it back. You didn't even try. You'll regret walking away. I never responded. Not because I hated him. Because I didn't owe him a single second more. He kept switching tones. Warm one moment, cold the next. Apologies. Accusations. Nostalgia. Guilt. A carousel of emotions that no longer included my seat. I didn't block him again. I didn't need to. The messages became background noise. I stopped reading them. Eventually, I stopped noticing them. Some people think strength is cutting someone off with fury, with rage, with a storm. But real strength, the quiet kind, is choosing not to react at all. My life didn't become perfect. I still had late nights. Still felt lonely sometimes. Still caught myself hearing a song we used to love and thinking, God, we were good once. But those moments passed. And what stayed was peace. Real peace. Not the kind you fake for holidays and dinner parties. The kind that comes from knowing you're living in your own skin, not someone else's shadow. I decorated the apartment slowly. Added color where he would have said too much. Put up lights he would have called tacky. Burned candles just because I liked how they smelled. I hosted a game night with coworkers. Laughed so hard I cried. I bought Lila a ridiculous glitter lamp she adored. I danced in the living room with her, barefoot, music loud, not caring who was watching because no one was judging anymore. And I looked in the mirror one morning, hair messy, robe stained with coffee, and thought, she's here. I found her. Not the woman he married. Not the woman he betrayed. Me. I didn't vanish. I didn't fade into the background of his next story. I stepped out of his narrative altogether and chose my own. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't punishment. It was freedom. And maybe, just maybe, that was the real beginning after all.